Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you for stopping by as always. I'm always grateful. Home thoughts. I was looking through the Serena hotels' results this morning, and that took me back to Lake Elmenteita, where I visited a long time ago, in point of fact. And look at this photograph. It's a beautiful site. It's where subsequently I ended up having lunch with Tom Chumley. It's a really beautiful place, and I want to go back. And this is another photograph of Hannah and her mother horse riding by the lake shore. It's a soda lake in the Great Rift Valley, about 120 kilometers northwest of Nairobi, and it's a beautiful destination. I like this quote from William Styron: "I read until I realized I was causing damage to my eyes. It was a kind of runaway lust." Good way of putting it. North Korea has launched a ballistic missile from a submarine days after the US and South's military drills. And I think China is largely considered as having some kind of leash on North Korea, but I suspect they've let it loose since those THAAD missiles were placed in South Korea. I wrote a piece in 2010, "Far away in distant lands lies the hermit kingdom." They all have had tiny little hands like the elves in The Elves and the Shoemaker. Sarkozy makes it official. He promises France everything in upcoming presidential bid. Probably has a very good chance. I like this from John Kerry: "Important words to remember today," from Amadou Bello. "It is by understanding our differences that we can build unity." Fox News was sex-fueled Playboy Mansion-like cult, says former anchor Andrea Tantaros. And this is all the story about Roger Ailes, who's now joined the Trump team. The ECB is on the way to being the world's largest hedge fund. Balance sheet rose by another 16.8 billion euros to a fresh high of 3.313 trillion. It's Wizard of Oz territory, isn't it? Dollar yen, Aurelia tweeted a graph. We're now at 100.31. I was bullish from the beginning of the year. I think we're going to print 95. Let's go quickly through the currency markets. Euro dollar 112.96. Dollar index 94.66. Dollar yen, as I said, 100.30. Swissy 0.9640. The pound, about which I'm cautiously bullish, 131.84. Aussie 0.7607. India rupee 67.145. South Korean won 1121.70. The Rial 323.68. Egyptian pound 887.89. And the rand, oh my goodness, 14.10. And we'll get to that in a moment. Sterling, I'll put up a 3-month chart. I'm cautiously bullish. I think the first objectives are like 134 area, and then I think we can go back to 140. Commodity markets, gold 1336.75. Put up a 6-month chart. Supported primarily because of negative interest rates. Banks are charging you to put money on deposit. You might as well buy some gold. Better off. Crude has flipped between a bull and bear market 5 times in the past year. Have a look at this graph from Dan Murtaugh. It does whipsaw, doesn't it? Just when you think it's going to break down completely, it bounces back into a bull market. I've been sidelined for a bit. I'm keeping an eye on it, but I don't think OPEC are going to do anything. Global oil supply disruptions. Can more production return to the market? Have a look at Goldman Sachs' chart via Javier Blas. And I'll put up a 1-month chart of WTI, $47.38 trading. Modi's choice of owlish Patel quiets investors' inflation fears. I like that description of an owl. Owlish. My wife was telling me yesterday she had this almighty crash. Went to look outside, and she realized that an owl had hit something on the first floor, dropped like a stone, and she said when she went to see what was going on, this owl was sort of looking up at her. I would have found that a little bit surreal, I must say. More than 1,900 people have died in the Philippines since President Rodrigo Duterte's war on crime. There are a lot of issues with that. South Sudan's former rebel leader Riek Machar has arrived in Khartoum for medical treatment. So obviously some ways an asset for the North. Africa 243, ville morte, Kinshasa, les rues sont vides. So it was successful, but the government reacted by saying the strike is the work of some radicals having some old-fashioned fun, which is one way of putting it, I suppose. And then this photograph was tweeted by Ronak Gopal Das, the Congo River separating Kinshasa and Brazzaville, the shortest distance between two capital cities in the world. South African all shares up 4.47% this year. Now, big news, as I was wandering off home, the Daily Maverick broke a story. That link is on Rich Wrap-Up. SARS, Wars, Endgame, Hawks order Pravin Gordhan and others to present themselves. Gordhan has for some time since his reinstatement as Minister of Finance in December after President Zuma's disastrous firing of Nene has been viewed as an obstacle thwarting the interests of individuals linked to Zuma, including the SAA's Dudu Myeni, current SARS Commissioner Tom Moyani, as well as the Gupta family's interest in the country's nuclear deal. Have a look at what happened last night. It went to around 1375 on the Rand. We're now at 1410. The president is, I am afraid, irrepressibly reckless, in my view. Dollar Rand, I'll put up a 1 month chart. It was predictable and predicted. Shoprite reported very strong results. We see the rest of the African continent as the source of much of our future growth. They said 1 billion transactions in a single year. Shoprite shares have gained 39% this year, the best performing non-mining company on the FTSE JSE Top 40 index. They trade in 14 other countries on the continent, and despite weaker economic growth due to lower commodity prices, sales in this segment expanded by 32.6% compared with 10.9% at home. That's a huge difference, and you can see why the rest of Africa is exciting, particularly the South Africans. What was interesting is that they did well in Angola, produced its sharpest growth as the retailer was able to replenish goods while other retailers were hamstrung by foreign exchange rules. Access to dollars allowed us to have stock on the shelves. Egypt's IMF has reached a staff-level agreement on a 3-year, $12 billion extended fund facility. That was widely telegraphed. The Egyptian EGX 30 is up 16.85% this year. Most of that rally has happened since the IMF announcement. Nigeria has asked banks to give 60% of their forex to manufacturing firms. Things are not looking good there at all. I think they're right at the wire in terms of hard currency. John Kerry said the fight against corruption must be a global security priority of the first order. And I like this photograph of John Kerry in the presence of the Sultan of Sokoto returning to Nigeria. I'm afraid, I think the president just doesn't get economics, and he's made mistake after mistake, delay after delay, and it's just making it compounding the problem. The Nigerian all shares down 2.96% this year. The Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index is down 8.73% this year. TPS Serena reported first half earnings per share negative 43 cents, but the improvement was from negative 61 cents. Sales were down 0.589%. Profit before interest, depreciation and taxation was down 6.589%. Interest costs were practically halved. Loss before income tax was 74.15 million versus 139.45 million last time, so considerable improvement there. Earnings per share, as I said, improved. Currency translation differences reduced from quite a big hit the last time round. And they were talking in their commentary, international leisure bookings for the Kenyan safari circuit recorded slow recovery during the first half of 2016. Current indications of the Kenyan safari business segment look much healthier than the past 2 years, particularly for the Mara and the Laikipia regions from July 2016. The coastal region will continue to record low occupancies. They're saying Serena, Tanzania and Uganda are expected to record satisfactory performance. I'd say they did more repairs and maintenance work, and they spent more money than in the previous year in 2015. Various overhauls on northern circuit properties, Tanzania, in the course of 2016. So my conclusions are substantial year-on-year improvement, but the key key issue is, will the rebound trajectory steepen? I thought the coast might start to see a rebound by now, given the travails in some destinations like Egypt, Turkey, etc., but there appears to be no discernible positive spillover. This is a good entry level on an 18-month horizon in my point of view. Have a look at the interview I did a year ago with Mahmoud Mohammed, but it covers the key points. And let's take a look at this photograph of the sunrise from the bedroom of the Polana, which is probably their best property in Africa in my view, which is in Maputo. My memories of the Serena start in Mombasa years back when the managing director, Mahmoud Mohammed, was the manager. I was then a teenager and remember losing my heart to a girl who would beat me at table tennis in a bikini. The table tennis table is still there. In point of fact, the Serena brand has always been sprinkled with a fairy dust and reminds me of happy, joyful, carefree halcyon days of youth. Substantial brand equity, which was appreciated not too long ago at Grosvenor House when they won the Best Hospitality, Travel and Tourism in Africa award at the African Business Awards. The question for Serena is, I think, essentially that the coast is going to continue to underperform. They have assets down there. It's how they deal with that. And the improvement in Nairobi, which they say they've now undertaken, but they need to get ahead of the curve on that as well. But at 20 shillings a share, it seems everything is baked into the price. Have a look at this photograph of the ocean taken at the Serena in Mombasa. Flametree Group reported first half earnings per share unchanged at 50 cents a share, revenue up 7.876%. Big spend on selling and distribution. They spent 77.563% more, 175 million versus 98 million previously. Profit before tax up 11.567%. Profit for the period down 0.841%. They say they're a diversified manufacturing distributor of plastic tanks, cosmetics and snacks, plus 34% EBITDA, which was good. Heril Bangera, whom I went to visit not too long ago, said that they delivered a strong performance in the first 6 months of 2016 in a very tough economic environment. The increase in total operating expenses is attributable to rigorous advertising and marketing campaigns geared to increase revenue in the plastics and FMCG divisions. In January 2016, the group acquired Susie Beauty, line of colour cosmetic brand venturing into personal care prestige portfolio, higher end as opposed to the mass market. Operates across 2 business verticals, manufacturing and trading in 6 countries. Strategy is to build a diversified portfolio of African manufactured brands for African consumers, covering plastics, cosmetics, food in multiple markets and verticals. On a P of 3.591, I think it's a price that's seriously in disequilibrium. Nairobi all share popped higher yesterday, 1.09% to go back into positive territory. It's up 0.42%. The NSE 20, however, fell to a fresh 52-month closing low, and that is down 14.8% this year. Once again, thank you for stopping by. Just to recap, big macro thoughts. I think sterling's on the mend. I think the rand, well, we always thought it was going to happen. Its timing, it is very difficult, but this is going to be highly problematical. I don't know who is proposing to replace Gordon with. That will be interesting in itself. And once again, thank you for stopping by.